Good morning and welcome to Daily Tech News with Alan Smithson. Today is Monday, April 29th. We're almost at the end of April and there's a lot to cover today. We have autonomous driving, but not in the way you're thinking. We have new conferences coming up. We have the XR Hall of Fame. We've also got a little tiny micro large language model, like a small language model from Microsoft. So let's get into it. We'll check it out for today. Here's what we got. Okay, let me get into it. All right, starting off with AWE, Augmented World Expo, is announced today. The XR Hall of Fame, the AWE XR Hall of Fame, celebrating the pioneers of the XR industry. That is right. Everybody from, I don't know if you've seen this, but this is the Sword of Damocles. This is with a first augmented reality heads-up display, and this is from the 1960s. But if you scroll down here, we stand on the shoulder of these giants. And this is so true. None of this technology could be built in a vacuum and without the pioneers who put this forward. So the inaugural list is 101 inductees to the XR Hall of Fame. And some of them include Ivan Sutherland, mentioned above, Tom Furness, the grandfather of VR, Jaron Lanier, the father of VR. I don't know if they're related. I don't think so. Steve Mann out of Toronto, Henry Fuchs, Valerie Thomas, Myron Kruger, and Mary Whitten. I am excited to learn more about that. I am actually also going to be speaking at AWE this year. I'm giving a talk on the history of XR marketing. So I'm really excited about that. It will take place in Long Beach, California. It's a new venue this year, and it's taking place June 18th to the 20th. I'm speaking on the 18th. I'm also going to be DJing with Celeste Lear and Julian Reyes. Many names he goes by, and we're going to be DJing the Virtual World Society Party, and that's going to be on the 18th. So I'm speaking on the 18th, and I'm going to be DJing on the 18th. So if you're in LA around that time, check it out. I'm also going to be giving another keynote called Humanix, the intersection of humanity and technology, at the Gatherverse XR Evolve Summit, which is coming up in May, at May 21st to 22nd. So I'm very excited to be giving this talk. It's not really XR related, it's more technology and how we take all the technologies that we're building and build for a better future together. So save the date, May 21st and 22nd for that. Okay, over to, this is, Saturday Night Live star Colin Jost is roasting politicians at the annual White House Correspondents' Dinner, but he does mention AI and in a funny-ish kind of way. Check it out.
I would really like to take a moment to recognize all the print journalists in this room. Your words speak truth to power. Your words bring light to the darkness. And most importantly, your words train the AI programs that will soon replace you.
Wow, nervous laughter in a room full of people that whose jobs are on the risk of that. Okay, over to more fun things. This is really neat. So researchers were able to take some of the scrolls found in Mount Vesuvius, where they had this big eruption, volcanic eruption, and these scrolls were kind of captured in time in this volcanic rock. And they're using AI to kind of decipher the papyrus, the papers that have writing on them, and they actually have found where Plato's burial place has been revealed. So like super cool, and they're doing this one by one, and so AI is able to come in here and make sense of it. So that's a really cool use of artificial intelligence. Over to power. This is flexible batteries. So the idea here is that if you have a flexible battery, you can build it into clothing, you can build it into subframes of things, you can have it in flexible, maybe for medical purposes as well. So the idea here is having flexible batteries, and that is just really, really cool. This is the first time we've been able to have stretching, twisting, folding, and wrinkling batteries. Wow. Now, there's not a lot of power here, but I'm sure this will get better with time. Okay. Microsoft just launched Phi-3, the smallest AI model yet. It's interesting because it's not I guess it is a large language model, or it's trained off a large language model, but it's a small language model. The idea here, it's 7 billion parameters. and the medium one is 14 billion parameters. And if you look at some of the other ones, we're in the hundreds of billions and the trillions of parameters now. So it's interesting that a small language model would be used now. And I think this is we'll see where this goes. I think it's more for going to be point service solutions. So if you're in a business and you need to have an LLM for a very specific thing, it can be trained on that. And I think there's huge potential in these kind of smaller large language model solutions. So, okay, over to quantum computing. This is really neat. This is Google's Sycamore, and I'll just...
Did something that's going to break your brain. Once again, it achieved quantum supremacy by performing a calculation within a few seconds that Frontier, the most powerful supercomputer in the world, would take 47 years to complete. This is something similar to what Google did in 2019 with 53 qubits. But this time, Sycamore performed the task with 70 qubits. Qubits are the quantum equivalents of classical bits that can represent 1 or 0, or both at the same time, potentially allowing for certain calculations to be performed at astonishing speeds. Quantum computers are still in their early stages of development, but the progress that Google has made with Sycamore is a major step forward for quantum computing. It shows that these machines are becoming more powerful and capable, and it suggests that they could soon be used to solve real-world problems.
That's super cool. Okay, so we'll go over to the actual article instead of some TikTok thing, but Google's Sycamore is literally doing calculations that would have taken us weeks, years, months to do, and they're doing it in seconds. So I've actually been to the Waterloo Quantum Lab here in Waterloo, Ontario, and I got to see, and the labs literally look like this. There's just a bunch of aluminum frames and cables and wires and everything hanging out the sides. So we're really getting excited about this, because if we can apply quantum computing with AI, then we're in like revolutionary territory there. So very excited about that. I will put the links in the chat as always below. I will put it in the YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, because that's how this thing grows. Share with your friends if you're enjoying this as well. Thank you. All right, over to photonics. Swave Photonics delivers true holographic display for spatial computing. If you've ever tried XR virtual reality, you'll notice when you look at something far away and you look up something close, they're both in focus. There's no depth of field created. And when you have true photonics, the ability to have multiple planes of depth field is really, really exciting. So they've got a proven non-volatile phase change material called a pixel on a standard CMOS conductor. So we're going to see this. We'll follow this through. It seems very early days. They're only getting, 64 gigapixels. That's quite a bit, actually. So we'll see what happens with Swave Photonics. We'll keep our eye on that. This is just the very, very beginning of that. Over to Autonomous Racing League. So this is interesting. Move slow and be things that break. So I'm going to play the video in just a second, but as you scroll down here, these cars, they don't have a driver. They're driving around at Formula One speeds with no drivers attached, and weird things are happening. So, this car here, driving around the corner, spins itself out. Okay, this one here, driving along, just drives itself into a wall. This is the kind of cutting edge technology that we're pushing forward. And the interesting thing about this is, if they can't make it run around a track that's fixed, how are they expected to make cars drive around the roads with things like, rain and snow and humans? So it's really interesting to see where this goes. And I'll just play a little bit of the video for you over here.
In Abu Dhabi, once again leading the way and very much putting out a call to arms as to autonomy and autonomous technology being the way forward. And this is that car out on track at the moment. You'll notice as well the different lights on the top of the roll hoop. Purple at the moment, that shows that AI is fully in control. If it starts to flash red or go full red, that means it is transitioning and AI has now lost control of the car and it is back under human control. You can hear it, you can see it if you're trackside.
I wonder, is somebody sitting there with an Xbox controller when the AI loses it and like, hey, I got this, don't worry, and maybe a VR headset and they're driving the thing? I don't know. I think a lot of racing games in video games are preparing people for this. Okay, over to AI regulation. The Department of Homeland Security in the U.S. has just announced 20 executives for AI safety and security. Now, when I show you the list of people here, it's a little bit interesting. I mean, it's all the usual suspects. You got Sam Altman, you got Dario Amodei, you've got, who else do I know here? You've got the mayor of Seattle, Center for Democracy and Technology, Humane Intelligence, CEO of Delta Airlines, Jensen Huang, Fifi Lee, she's definitely should be on there, Satya Nadella. But missing from here is Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. So I don't know. I feel like not only do we have a representation from big companies here, but I think we're also starting to see regulation creep here, where they're actually using regulation to cut off the ability for small companies to compete. And in innovation, that is never the right way to do things. So I don't see any smaller companies here. I don't see any startups. I don't see any startups representation. And so it's, they've got all these quotes here. Adobe's honored to be part of it. I got it. We understand this. These big companies are all part of this, but this really is going to stifle innovation and really push power into the hands of the very few instead of the hands of the many. So I would keep your eyes on this. It's, hopefully we can do better than this. Okay. Over to XR Creator Con. There's an XR hackathon going on in June 27th to 30th in Berlin, Germany. I will not be there, but it looks super cool. So if you're in Germany and you want to go see that, it is there, and I'll put the links in the chat as well. Over to where I live, Ontario, Canada. The Ontario government has just banned cell phones in schools starting in September. Not only are they banning them, but if you use your device in class, they will take it away, and then for second offenses, they will suspend you from school. Holy moly, what kind of dystopian world do we live in? But here you go. Here's an explanation.
From kindergarten to grade 6 will be asked to keep their phones on silent and out of sight. And those in grades 7 to 12 will not be able to use their devices during class time. Any student caught breaking the rules will have their devices taken away, with repeat violations possibly leading to suspension. For more on the new measures, we are joined in studio this morning by Ontario's Minister of Education, Stephen Lecce. Good to have you here, Minister.
Good morning.
All right, let's start off with, this is a revision or an update from the 2019 ban. So one of the frustrations from that ban, at least what I heard from educators, was that there was not enough power for teachers to enforce the rules. They weren't allowed to take phones from students, which was the problem. This revised version appears to give more authority to teachers and to the schools if there's pushback from students or from parents or guardians. Can you outline the process for repeat offenders for us?
When we say out of sight, out of mind, it's really about reconditioning young people to learn in a way where they're listening to their educators, where they are focused on the curriculum. And we remove the impediments that have set back many kids. I mean, the fact that we still have half of Ontario students not meeting the provincial math standards is a reminder that we in government, in education, and in our communities and homes, we've got to do better. And we're bringing forth a Team Ontario approach. And so, yes,
So one thing that I do agree with is that they're actually going to be banning vapes in schools as well, because, kids shouldn't be vaping. It's illegal, first of all. And the fact that they're doing this, they're actually putting sensors in the bathrooms now to detect smoke and stuff. So I do agree with that. But banning devices in classrooms, I think, is really, it seems antiquated and really old school. And, I'm questioning why this would even be a thing, to be honest. It seems maybe like it's not something we want to do. But anyway, over to, this is really interesting. I'll leave you with this. This is a future vision for the world in 2050. So take a look. This has been Daily Tech News. I'll leave you with this for the day, and I will again put all the chats, all the links into the chat of the YouTube channel, and enjoy. Super cool. All right. That has been, where are we? All right. That has been Daily Tech News for today, Monday, April 29th. I hope you have a wonderful day and be good to the earth, be good to each other. Peace, everybody.